Can you hear me?
We can.
Hi. I want to first apologize. My camera doesn't seem to be working at the moment. But I'll just go in nonetheless. So thank you, Representative Michelle, and thank you, Chairman Elliott and Haskell, committee members, the students and allies present today, and all who co-sponsored HB 6374. I'm Liam O'Donnell, Director of Policy at Every Voice Coalition Connecticut, and a junior at UConn. One of the most crucial aspects of 6374 is the implementation of biennial campus climate surveys. We must ensure that every student within higher learning institutions is allowed an outlet to safely and anonymously share their experience with and perception of sexual violence on their campus, especially considering the disproportionately low rates of reporting on college campuses. It is critical that campuses obtain data that reflects student needs and institutional shortcomings as frequently as possible to respond in a timely and intentional manner. College campuses across the country and our state face a sexual violence epidemic. Each year of inaction demonstrates another cycle of preventable campus sexual violence. This is why the instituting of campus climate surveys every 2 years is so important. Two conflicting problems exist: the highly fluid nature of a campus's climate and the time it takes to implement and interpret surveys on an institutional level. We believe that this bill will reconcile both. We must remember that in Connecticut especially, our campuses are diverse places, filled not with just students pursuing four-year degrees, but also associate, graduate, and visiting students, among others. Other time intervals fail to fully encompass all the facets of the student body fully, and would ultimately serve as a stark disservice to the wide range of students that institutions throughout our state serve. We must also recognize, as COVID-19 proved, that the atmosphere of campuses is continuously in motion, and that we cannot assume that standards present in a previous survey cycle will remain stagnant into the next. We must also recognize that it takes time to implement, interpret, and respond to surveys on an institutional level. A survey every year fails to respect the time and effort college administrations put into accurate surveying and can ultimately dilute gathered data due to overfrequency. In conducting surveys every 2 years, institutions have time to both implement surveys and respond to them without sacrificing the student voices critical to campus reform. We strongly believe that, as other states have proven, the instituting of campus climate surveys on a bi-yearly basis would reconcile the issues faced by alternative frequencies, taking into consideration the ebbing of student bodies, the shifting of campus culture, and the time requirements needed to produce valid and meaningful survey results that can truly enact change. Thank you for considering my testimony.
Thank you, Liam. Thank you, Michelle. On to questions. It looks like we have Representative Rochelle with a question.
Hi, thank you.
Representative, you're coming in really choppy.
And thank you, Liam. From your perspective as a, can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Go ahead, Rep.
So, quick question for Liam. As a student, can you share with us if you feel that there will be any survey fatigue, or if this is a good fit with the intervals that are being suggested in this bill for the survey?
Yeah, thank you for your question, Representative Rochelle. While the question of survey fatigue is an important one to discuss, I think that students will be receptive to additional platforms to share their experiences of sexual violence on their campus. I see firsthand at UConn a student body that often feels like it lacks an outlet to express complaints regarding the climate of sexual violence on our campus, which has led to the rise of social media accounts made for the entire purpose of depicting allegations of sexual violence. And I know for a fact that this situation exists on many other campuses throughout our state. I think we should recognize that this is a symptom of inadequate measures toward fully comprehending the atmosphere of sexual violence on our campuses, and the shortcomings in allowing students anonymous and safe modes of expressing their thoughts and opinions. And circling back to your question, I believe that a 2-year frequency will, in fact, ingrain a campus climate survey in the climate of the in the culture of the university. Currently, in our universities in our state that conduct four-year campus climate surveys, students are often unaware that they exist and don't see them as a viable method of expressing themselves due to the huge time intervals between them. I even have friends at UConn that have not taken the survey and will never take the survey due to not falling within that 4-year interval during their studies. So a 2-year survey is far more likely to become normalized as a key component of anti-violence efforts on campus. People will, they will recall having heard about the survey 2 years ago and might feel more inclined to respond to it, another 2 years from then. With this frequency, participation rates will likely increase, helping data collection and reform. So with that being said, I don't see survey fatigue as a viable excuse for not conducting biannual surveys, and think that a 2-year interval may even increase student involvement in the long run. And thank you for your question, Representative Rochelle.
Not seeing any other questions. Thank you, Liam, and thank you, Representative Rochelle. All right, we'll loop back around to Representative Foster.